I said to Jody in our first conversation, are you interested in being leader of the Green Party? I think that'd be a great idea. She said no.
Ousted Liberal MPs Jane Philpott and Jody Wilson-Raybould will now be running as independents in this year's election. But what I found striking about both of their speeches is that they both mentioned Elizabeth May and the Green Party. So I'm going to show you both of these clips and explain here what exactly went on behind the scenes.
And here I am thinking about how we tackle climate change as a matter of individual and collective health and well-being, and as a matter of economic prosperity and national security. On this issue in particular, I see my friend and colleague Elizabeth May and the Green Party of Canada as natural and necessary allies.
As we talk about climate change, I have to give a shout out to my amazing colleague, Elizabeth May. Many of you know that Elizabeth and I have had a lot of conversations in the last few weeks. I think she is doing fantastic work. She needs to be listened to. She and her green team have outstanding ideas for the future of this planet, and I intend to be her ally. I intend to work with her to fight for the kinds of initiatives that will save this planet. We're going to do it together.
So I found that to be enlightening, at least in terms of trying to figure out where these MPs now sit politically, now that they are kicked out of the Liberal Party. They're siding with the Greens, at least on climate change. But the fact that Elizabeth May was the only MP that either of these MPs mentioned apart from each other in their speeches, I think says something. Now, here's Elizabeth May talking about or sharing her reaction to Jane Philpott and Jody Wilson-Raybould running as independents.
I said to Jody in our first conversation, are you interested in being leader of the Green Party? I think that'd be a great idea. She said no. So I really don't think you can there's not a lot here to find that isn't on the surface. I'm leader of the Green Party of Canada. I love being the member of Parliament for Saskatchewan Gulf Islands. I'm looking forward to the 2019 campaign as leader of the Green Party of Canada to ensure that we have a strong voice that's respectful, based on evidence, and prepared to take on the other party leaders in debates and on the hustings and support Green Party MPs across this country, because the more Greens we elect, the better this place will be, the more respectful it will be, and the more we'll have members of Parliament who understand that their job is to work for their constituents.
And how early had you started speaking to them, and when were your last conversations? In other words, when did you realize, oh no?
Well, we had a three-way conversation on Friday morning by phone. So they told me what their intentions were. We continued to talk. Well, I talked to Jody, I guess last night. So it's hard for people to quite understand the extent to which this wasn't a negotiation. I didn't, other than saying in my first conversation, do you want to be leader? And she said no. So we can put to bed any idea that she had leadership aspirations. Okay?
Were you going to let her step in?
It's not my decision. Under our Constitution, I would have to step down. It would trigger a leadership contest. Other people would run. The members would vote.
Were you serious? Is what
yes.
I'm saying. You were serious.
Yes.
In order to,
yes.
would have given up the leadership.
Yes.
And you'd
yes.
be okay with that?
Why not?
Why?
I want the best possible government for Canada. I want the most Greens elected as possible. I think she's a very impressive and qualified person who's shown herself to have massive integrity in the face of inappropriate pressure. That said,
the same offer to Jane?
That said, neither of them were interested in taking on leadership roles. We're friends, we respect each other, we work together, and we want to continue to work together, which would have been a lot easier if they'd said they wanted to be Greens.
All right. Now, before I make any comments, I have to say, as I always say, I ran as a Green Party candidate in 2015, so just so you're aware of my potential bias here, even though I don't consider myself attached to any one party, I sort of float between the Greens, the NDPs, or an independent candidate, depending on their ideas and what riding you're in. So I think it's dumb to attach yourself to any one party. I think politics is not a team sport. You should be looking at these candidates individually and looking at the party, what the party offers, and also the riding that you're in and who actually has the potential to win. So, but with that said, Elizabeth May here, I mean, you have to hand it to her for actually willing to step down as party leader so that Jane Philpott or Jody Wilson-Raybould could take over. Now, of course, as she said, it would have to go through a whole process of the members voting on who should be leader. But there is a good chance that if Jody Wilson-Raybould especially wanted to be leader of the Green Party, I think she could have easily won. And it's exactly what I would have wanted to see, have seen. Not even just, leader of the Green Party, but leader of a party. Jody Wilson-Raybould, look, I covered that story endlessly, but essentially she spoke truth to power. She stood up to her party leader, to the prime minister, and got kicked out because of it. This is somebody that should be in a leadership role. And even more so because she doesn't want a leadership role is why she should be a leader here. Because you want somebody leading a party and to be prime minister who isn't obsessed with ego and isn't obsessed with power and simply wants to serve people. That's what I think Jody Wilson-Raybould offers. But unfortunately, especially unfortunately for the Green Party, it's not going to happen. Now, the Green Party, look, they would have seen a massive jump, I think, if Jody Wilson-Raybould and Jane Philpott joined them as Green MPs. But the Green Party has already been enjoying some strong growth. So in January, they were at 6.3% support. Now in polling, they're almost at 10%, which is the biggest positive jump for any one party since January. So the growth potential for the Greens continues. And it would have been massive if Jody Wilson-Raybould or Jane Philpott joined them. The issue that the Greens have isn't that they lack support or lack growth. It seems every election the Green Party gains a little bit of support, but then drops right before the actual vote. And that's because there aren't that many high-profile MPs or candidates running as Green Party MPs or running to be a Green Party MP. That is the problem here. So the Green Party might have nationwide support, and Elizabeth May actually right now is seen as the most ethical leader in Canada, but that doesn't mean that the party can actually win because there aren't enough candidates on the ground that are Greens that can win in these ridings. It's incredibly hard to become competitive in these ridings, especially when there's this, these entrenched rivalries already, especially in some areas like the GTA, where a lot of it just goes between conservative or liberal, or now with the NDP. I mean, you have a party in the NDP, which still, I mean, this is the third major party and they're still struggling. I mean, we have this parliamentary system where it may seem great on the surface, you have all these choices, but ultimately, for a lot of people, you only have two choices. You only have the Conservatives or the Liberals in a lot of these ridings. And a big part of the issue here is that we don't have proportional representation. We have a first past the post system, which doesn't allow smaller parties to really grow. Unless you have a big name like Jody Wilson-Raybould or Jane Philpott, who have been all over the news, join a party like the Greens. It would have been huge. But short of that, there isn't much potential here for the smaller parties to really grow. So, I don't know. I mean, the way this election's going, it appears the Conservatives, if we keep on the same trajectory, the Conservatives are likely going to form government. But with that said, there is still the potential there for the Liberals, the NDPs, and the Greens to form a coalition in the chance that the Conservatives win. So if they form that coalition, they then could form government themselves. But the Liberals historically, at least recently, have not been willing to work with the other parties in that sense. I don't see it happening here, but I can only dream because right now it's not looking too good for Canada.